farming's in the blood. We've been generations of farmers. Our family's one of the oldest farming families in Glamorgan. We can see from this farm, the farm down by the sea, 3 miles away, where Richard Lougher was farming in 1470.
My daughter only asked me this morning, what exam results did you have in school? I said I didn't have any. I left school at 16 to come home to work on the farm. It's something you're born into. I say my father was a dairy farmer for 80 years, Annan boy. His father before him was into dairying, and as you go back through the generations, there's always been milking cows involved.
Wales is a country with a rich history in dairy farming. However, recently there is not much financial security in this field. Here, in the Vale of Glamorgan, dairy farmers have been left to make tough choices.
We were on 660 cows and the milking parlour had been in for about 25 years. And my son Reese was in university doing agriculture, and we couldn't quite see how another family to come. There wasn't the income being generated from the 60 cows on the farm, so we had to do something a little bit different.
When we sold the dairy herd, the idea was to take on buy-in youngsters and rear them to bull in or calve them down and sell them on.
But we thought, well, what about liquid milk? There was a chap up the road who was a doorstep delivery. So we thought, well, if we started bottling a little bit, we could get rid of a little bit of our milk through local deliveries.
The now tetangless dairy could not have come at a better time. The Loughers started in 2007, the same year that a local dairy in Bridgend closed up. Within just 18 months, all of the Loughers' milk was being sold. Years later, in 2013, Clive Thomas chose to quit milking. He sold his herd of 100 Holsteins.
Which, yeah, last year was good. It was good money in it. Now the price has dropped. I would say we're probably £300 a head lower than what the price of one heifer is. £300 a head lower this year than last year on the in-calf heifers, and that's a huge hit. Huge hit.
From August 2014 to August 2015 alone, the average dairy farmer went from getting 32 pence a litre to just over 23. It costs farmers 30 pence to produce 1 litre of milk. Welsh dairy farmers find themselves in an industry where they are barely scraping by.
We certainly empathise with them because it's a very, very, very difficult situation. I wish there was a magic wand that I could wave that put their prices up.
Dairying is it's an industry that needs an awful lot of money invested regularly into it to keep your kit, all your tractors, machinery, and milking parlours, and it's a very high cost unit to produce. And when milk is being sold cheaper than bottled water, you know, it's something a bit wrong.
My father and I always said, if we stick it long enough, it'll come right. But that was 20, 25 years ago, and it still hasn't come right. We've had a couple of good periods, but it's just been, financially, it's just been crippling really from the word go.
After helping initiate the UK dairy strategy leading the way 2 years ago, dairy corporate Andy Richardson has since completed a review of the dairy sector in Wales on behalf of the government. He spent 3 months interviewing people in dairy and released his report in February.
But you've had two particular issues where Russia imposed an export ban on dairy products from the EU. So a big market has suddenly been chopped off. And obviously China was a big import market. And again, they took significantly less than they did in previous years. So supply and demand means the prices unfortunately have gone south. And that's what it's about. It's not about retailers.
Since 2005, there are 1/3 fewer dairy farms across Wales and England. Yet milk production has actually gone up.
A lot of farms are producing quite a bit more milk to try and keep their milk check coming in the same amount that it's been before. But the problem that we get oversupply, and once there's oversupply, well, of course, you're playing into the hands of the processors then. So really, we'd be better off if there was a little bit less milk being produced and there's just demand for it.
Unlike in North America, countries in the UK and Europe do not use quotas in dairy farming. They moved away from a regulated market in the 1970s. Instead, there is a voluntary code of practice to do with the pricing of milk.
There are aligned milk contracts. So there are some farmers who supply retailers, supermarkets directly, and their prices are based on a formula of cost plus. And there are farmers who are not aligned to a retail contract.
A more regulated dairy market might contribute to more consistency in milk prices for farmers.
You can't just turn on the tap all the time, you know. It's got to, if there was just a bit more volatility and more contracts based on cost of production, and so there's a fair return for everybody along the milk chain.
You've got to have someone there who is looking now, an ombudsman if you like, to keep an eye to make sure the farmers get a fair price, public pay a fair price, and then the supermarkets get a fair price. But at the moment it is, when supermarkets use you as a loss leader just to get people through the door of the supermarkets, you've got no chance.
Leadership is considered one of the most important areas to help advance dairy farming. In addition to the National Farmers Union, a Welsh Dairy Leadership Board has been formed, which Andy chairs. This consists of politicians, supermarkets, milk processors, and dairy farmers, but there is still more to be done.
But the important thing to recognise is 60% of the milk in Wales is produced in the far southwest, and it's really important that that area particularly has a market for its milk. A lot of the milk, about half of that milk goes out from that area, so it's absolutely crucial that we make sure that there is a secure added value market for that milk going forward.
The bigger dairies seem to put up one massive site and then ship all the milk from halfway around the country into this big site to process it. They can process it a lot cheaper and then ship it all out again. But you know, milk doesn't travel that well.
I passionately believe that the answers are out there already, not just with existing farmers, but there's a lot of young people coming in with some great ideas. Don't be afraid, make sure your ideas get heard, because guess what, they're probably some of the best ones out there.
I think marketing is the key. I mean, for example, our milk was marketed as 4% fat. Well, surely it'd be better off to say it's 96% fat-free. You know, it's just a way of... I don't think people have looked into these sort of things.
Ever wondered why Wales is a good country for dairy farming? Look outside.
Most dairy cows, they eat grass, and grass grows well where it rains, so fundamentally Wales is a really good area for grass growth. So that's the whole foundation of what we're saying, and there's no reason why it can't be the most competitive, or amongst the most competitive in the world.
The potential for Wales to be among the elite in dairy farming seems unrealistic considering the country's size, yet it is the distinct pride and character of Welsh farmers which gives people hope.
Our product, it's not the same as a normal milk that you just buy in the shop. Ours is they can't be any fresher. The milk from the morning's milking goes through to be mixed with the milk from yesterday to be made into your doorstep and bottled, so that the freshness of our milk is far better than anything else.
It's the kind of innovation that the Loughers have taken with T. Tanglis Dairy that could encourage dairy farmers to hold on.
I would like to see the Welsh Government aligning RDP payments, focusing on efficiency. So I think it comes full circle from where we started. It's about helping farmers to become more efficient so that they can be more resilient going forward.
But after everything they've been through, John and Clive remain less positive about the future of dairy farming in Wales.
We're managing to get rid of all our milk and use it all up, and we're getting a little bit of a better price, but it's still very cheap, you know, and we're still fighting cheap milk all the time. And you've got to get through to a lot of people that it's just cheap today, gone tomorrow if you're not careful.
What would I tell people now? I don't know. I really don't know. For someone who's going in to start off, the startup cost is incredible. I don't think financially they could do it. It's not viable.
I think it's up to everybody to make sure that the dairy farmers, and all British farmers, are getting a fair price for their produce.
While there are mixed reviews towards the future of dairy farming in Wales, one thing is for certain: it's farmers who truly connect the city to the country. We're always going to need food, and dairy is an essential part of that. Nothing beats a glass of milk.